Here we are with Fiat and Channel 7 at the top mark for the second time, and we've really got a race on our hands here.
That's going to be really important in this race. So Fiat rounds first. Great piece of sailing by Michael Coxon and his team. Sevi Jarvin and the team second. In they go. It's the sets. Who's going to get this right? Fiat's is set first, and immediately 7 is, they nearly jibed but couldn't. They very nearly came undone. Asco is around third, and hanging in there very nicely indeed are the boys aboard Macquarie Real Estate. They've sailed a great leg to hang in there like that. So a great race, wide open between third and fourth. Great contest here, and what you can see is that while Sevi Jarvin has been really fast in all angles of breeze in this championship so far, he does not appear to have any sort of a speed advantage over Fiat, sailing with the Spinnaker downhill with the wind over their shoulder, and Fiat seemingly comfortable to match them in that. Noticeable here that the boys on Fiat are sailing further forward on the wing. 7 looks to me to be a bit too bow up. I think we can see there that Fiat's just ever so slowly pulling away from 7. It's very, very little in it, but she's opened up by a quarter of a boat length or so, and that could count for a heck of a lot at the end of the day. The battle for third and fourth, and this is a ding-dong battle too. At the moment, Asco narrowly ahead of Macquarie, but Macquarie has made up ground since they rounded that top mark. They were a good 15-20 seconds behind at that point in time, and they're not out of this by any means. And I would say also that these skiffs, currently third and fourth, are still possibilities to win this race. Notice here that the Macquarie boys also are right down the back end of the bus, and that's very similar to the 7 Network boat. She carries all her weight down aft, and I'm not totally convinced about the wisdom of that. Up ahead, it looks to me like Asco is slightly more forward on the wing, and that just flattens the hull out a bit more and makes it a bit more efficient, it seems to me. But Fiat now, dare I say it, vaguely comfortable as she drops the chute and rounds the bottom mark for the last time. Then they go around Shark Island to the finish, and Fiat's exactly where she wants to be. Boys dropping the chute on board 7. They're certainly still within striking distance, there's no doubt about that, but they've got some work to do. So Adam Beechel and the boys on Club Marine here are trying their absolute best to see if they can get up over the top of Wild Oats and take their air. If they can do that, then Wild Oats will suddenly stop, and that'll cost them plenty. So in doing so, both these skiffs are making ground on Macquarie Real Estate, although they're sailing higher. That could work out well, or it could work out badly, but Wild Oats doing well here, holding their ground, not giving anything away, and indeed at the moment just opening up ever so slightly on Club Marine, just taking a little bit of distance out of them. Thus it was that Fiat went on to win this race, and they won it quite clearly in the end, which was a big surprise, Jack, given the sort of speed that 7's been showing.
But Channel 7's still in there with the consistency, and that's what's really important over the course of a regatta. You've got to stay up the front of the fleet in all of the races, so a second place for them is very solid.
Well, that's true. It is a solid result, and of course Asco's third was solid as well. They did very well. They nipped at their heels a couple of times but couldn't quite catch them. But it has to be said that Fiat winning this Heat 4 meant that the series was still open and they still had a chance of beating Gotta Love It 7. Terrific performance by Macquarie Real Estate to finish fourth in this race, and they too are in the leading bunch and still an outside chance to win it. So we'll see the board here now. Keep in mind that they can drop their worst race. So there are 7 heats, they can drop their worst. So actually Fiat and Asco are still in this series. Now, one of the skiffs that is not going all that flash in this series so far is Maytag, and Nick Press, the skipper, is relatively new to the class, but he's got high hopes for the future.
Competition's pretty much the best you're going to find on Sydney Harbour. My old man was an 18-foot skiff sailor, so I just grew up around the park. The excitement of racing an 18-foot skiff, it's something you, as growing up sailing on Sydney Harbour, it's something you always aspire to. They're the biggest, fastest things out there on the water, so I've nearly been hit by a Manly ferry in a 12-foot skiff. Yeah, and I think I've almost done that in an 18-foot skiff as well. But I didn't see it in the 18, so it wasn't as scary. No, I'd like to be up mixing in up with the regatta like John Winning and, boats like that. Maybe even trying to give people like Macquarie and that a bit of a hurry up sometimes. You know, they're top boats, and maybe they're a little bit above our standard at the moment, but I think you've got to aim above your weight sometimes.
And 5-time world champion Trevor Barnabas, this year skippering Amiga Smeg. He's back. He had a bit of a period of retirement, but he's back to challenge this year's World Championship again.
Some months ago I decided I'd been out on a good pasture, so to wake up 3 days in a row and have to go sailing will be a bit of a test for me. And inevitably in 18s you make mistakes, and it's a person that can get out of those mistakes the best. And will be at the top of the ladder. One of my foreigners, Cub, used to always put a thing in the bottom of the boat. He said, a collision at sea can ruin your whole day, and he's exactly right, because if you have a collision in one of these boats, that's basically the end of the race for you, because you can break gear, you can end up capsizing, you get tangled up, and all the boats sail away. So it's important that the 3 crew members communicate and adjudicate what's happening around them and don't make any mistakes.